part of me. I gave God all of me, no saying sick and tired of me. I came up about them bricks, I know my brother's proud of me. Demons had me on the fence, I know my mama proud of me. You know my mama pray for me, pray for my girl, she made for me. You know these rappers make believe, they make it up like Maybelline. Remember days, thought I was done, I said they want no saving me. Now I'm feeling like the one that's really making say the streets. Fads made it spaz out, cash in, cash out. Money coming fast now, topping off his pastels. Blues and pace won't say a thing, but it made life a little easy. Put your faith up in that money, you ought to try a little Jesus. Waist deep was in that water, learn to swim, you gon' sink. Pack was made to order back to back, bro, next week. I got angels on both sides, sick to say no crossing me. Body buried in that water, I came up a brand new me. Yeah. Streaming is the volume 1, man.
The Art of War. He who knows himself but does not know his enemy will lose every battle he goes into. If he does not know himself but he knows his enemy, he will lose half the battles. If he knows himself and he knows his enemy, he will win every battle he enters. The Art of War by Sun Tzu.
Hey, how are you doing? This is Howard Langford, and I'm so excited to come to the conclusion of this semester. And I'm not excited that the semester is over, but I'm excited with all the things that I've learned in my course toward my journey toward mastery. And I am a new media journalism student, new media and journalism student at Full Sail University. And I'm excited on this path that I am on. I have a desire to really change media as it is. It seems as if the media market has become toxic, and its social media network has become so clouded and muttered, and that it's hard to find out what actual truth is. Most of what we find is someone's opinion, and their strong opinion, and with the cloudy waters that we're finding is that all you need to have is a microphone without research and study, and you have 19 million people that will agree with you, and you become a social media phenom until the next bell or whistle comes on. But what we want to do, we want to really change that nature and that dynamic of what social media and media really is. What I love about social media is that it's really taken the power away from some of the bigger industries over the last number of years. And if you know a little bit about some of the foundations of YouTube, it really became popular during the Super Bowl when Janet Jackson had a part of her body revealed when her and Justin Timberlake were on their stage dancing. And whether it was choreographed, planned, we will never know. I will never know. As a matter of fact, I really don't even care whether it was planned. However, with the desire to see the rerun of this event, it really heightened the need and the desire to have the desire for social media. And that was kind of like the launching pad for YouTube. And so what we're doing is we're taking all of some of the social media platforms that are there, and we're bridging those between what I desire to do and what is going to be next in new media. And so again, like I said, I want to change the social media market. And the name of my company in my is the Abbas Media Network. And that's going to be the desire for my company. And I will be the exec, and I'm going to execute this, of course, by having a name and branding, Abbas Media Network. And my mission statement is to create a social media and publishing company that fosters socially conscious storytelling and ethical journalism while providing an alternative to toxic social media. That's my desire. And my core offerings will be books, digital media content, new social media platforms, and partnerships with ethical brands. There's brands that are trusted, brands that are true to its core, brands that don't not necessarily connect with everything that I believe, because I am multifaceted and multi-pleated, but my core principles that I believe in. You've got to represent what the culture is running away from. And when I say what the culture is running away from, I think that there are certain truths that we're running away from. And I like to say, as a school teacher, I would teach my students, my word is gravity. Meaning that if I promise you something, it's going to be as reliable as gravity. and also I am a load supporting being. So if I am walking in error, then the entire system of education will collapse on our foreheads. And so I want to make sure that anything I share with you has been researched, has been studied, and has been something that has some credibility and some weight. Um, what I would like to do also is my target audience will be socially conscious individuals, independent authors, media professionals, and certain levels of activism. One of the things as an African American male, as you study and research history, some of the things that we march and stand on, sometimes our platform becomes hijacked. If you take the whole word woke, what that word woke meant in our generation, in our culture, is that there was a time when we woke up. There was a time when we realized that certain things that was going on in the nation was not conducive for our growth. And what has happened is that our cause has been hijacked by, and I'm not sure if it was on purpose. I would like to think that it wasn't, but sometimes our cause becomes hijacked and then repurposed. And so with Abbas Media Network, I would like to remain consistent with the true ethical values of what certain words in our culture means. I would like to have one of my branding will be the ish, which is uh, a suffix, not a prefix. And so, and what that would be is a social media platform where we will be interviewing and bringing real content to our listeners and to our audience that is really connected to what the audience is looking for. And so, with the ish being a suffix, not a prefix, it means that things that, like one of the famous shows that I really love, Black-ish, and the show Black-ish was a show that really connected to the core values of ideas that was related to Africans living in America. Some of the business structures and revenues that I will look at is streaming. Streaming is really a hot commodity that really became so essential during the times of the pandemic, where many of our churches and a lot of our large gathering places were not allowed to meet anymore. And so we still have to find a way of getting information out. A lot of our larger movie companies, where movie theaters were closing because we were not allowed to meet publicly, they began to show many of their new movies on social media or through Netflix or Paramount. And so you begin seeing shows like the Peacock Network and Paramount and Prime Video. Their stocks really went through the roof because people still wanted to see new movies. And what they recognize is that it's more convenient for me to meet at my home and enjoy a new movie with my loved one, as opposed to risking my health in my life by going out in the community and being inside another building with people who may or may not be ill. And so it's more socially acceptable to become more secluded in my own safe environment. And so revenue, one of the revenue ways of creating revenue would be through streaming, book publishing, and sales. One of my long-term goals was to write and publish a book. And so what I did, January 31st was the launch date for a book that I wrote, Reimagine Church, which was doing church the way that I see that Jesus built the church, through relationships, kneecap to kneecap, not necessarily joining in a building per se, but making sure that we connect with people on an individual level, on a level where it really allows people to see our humanity, and that we are less than 60 degrees separate from being in the same place that they may be in, or we have more in common than we do that causes us to be divided. I want to have a subscription-based media content, advertising, advertiser partnership with ethical brands. There are so many people that have begun to have their own line of clothing, their own line of jewelry. I want to really connect with some of the people who are on the upstart, who are beginning to make out their own name brand. We have 4 children, my wife, 4 sons and a daughter, my wife and I, and each of them have really embraced their own entrepreneurship, having their own clothing brand, having their own music brand. As a matter of fact, my intro music that you saw, that you were able to hear, that was me doing the narration, but it was my son who produced and wrote the music for that. And what he realized is that it really, a lot of the music that was out there was not speaking to him as an individual. And so he began to write his own music and put it to, as we used to say in my generation, put it to wax. In other words, he put music behind his words and his lyrics and produced his own sound for his generation. And so we applaud that. One thing we taught our children early on as they were growing up is to make sure that you have an entrepreneurial mindset. When you are a business owner's mindset, even if you are not self-employed, you take the ownership of the business that you work with. So in other words, you work until the work is done, and you make sure that you bring quality work to the work environment. Make sure that you don't produce a toxic atmosphere. In other words, be a thermostat and not a thermometer, because a thermometer just tells you how the temperature is according to how your skin feels in that environment. But a thermostat changes the nature and the climate of the environment. So make sure that you're changing the climate. And that's one thing that we're looking to do with Abbas Media Network, is to change the environment of those in our peer group. Even people who are not familiar with the things that are causing them such harm that is beyond their external locus of control, that is beyond what they're able to do, that in other words, that is beyond things that they can control. And so how do you change an environment when you can't change an environment? Well, that's one thing we're looking to do, is change the environment to people who feel helpless and to empower them that they have the ability to change the environment. We're looking to, of course, like I said, publish and sell books, have subscription-based media content. We're also looking to do some crowdfunding and grants for socially responsible projects. One of the things I remember working on a few years ago, is a lighthouse project. And what we did is I'm former law enforcement, and we really toured around. The goal was to tour around America and then eventually tour around the world to bring help and aid to people who are not connected. One of the areas we went into was in the area of Richmond, Virginia, and one of the most deadliest areas in Virginia, where they were having shootouts all the time. And one of the chief of police at the time was someone who would go into these different areas that were really difficult and challenging. In uniform, he would have all this top brass walking the community, knocking on doors saying, "How can we serve you?" That was very brave of him. And when people in the culture and climate that did not really appreciate law enforcement, he would ask them, "When was the last time you see any of my officers mishandle and mistreat anyone in the community?" And he held his people to a high regard and to a high standard. And because he had that leverage with the community, they were able to say, "Yeah, you know what? Let me put my trust in this individual." We also have paid membership to exclusive content and networking opportunities. We want to bring content and platform for our long and short-term goals. In other words, we're going to build an interactive website with blog, publishing services, and a community forum. We're going to start with newsletters and podcasts to gain an audience, and we're going to develop social media platforms with social features that prioritize healthy digital interactions. We're going to utilize cyber psychology to design engagement tools that foster meaningful discourse. In other words, one thing I've studied in in the area of cyber psychology is cyber psychology is the study of how you, let's put it this way, how you have cybersecurity, and cybersecurity stops individuals from hacking into your to your network. Cyber psychology is a research-based psychology study that goes into the focus of why would someone want to go into your network. It also studies the behavior patterns of children who are what we call now iPad children, and the effects of iPads on these children, how they're not able to turn their heads away from the iPad, and because it's placed in front of them at very early ages, they're not able to really engage emotionally with the community and with the people who are around them because they're not able to differentiate facial expressions and things that's just common innate personality traits that is human. We're looking to have our marketing and branding strategies by branding positions in media companies that value integrity, community, and forward thinking. We want to embrace discussions of things that are going on in the community. And our network strategies for Full Sail, of course, we want to bring our alumni. Once I become an alumni, we want to bring, I want to connect with professors and industry mentors to reach out to Full Sail instructors and faculty in media and publishing for insightful referrals. In other words, Full Sail is an amazing school that is doing amazing things in the media network. I want to really capitalize on those peer groups around Full Sail and help continue to bridge the gap between credible media and media that does not have credibility. I also want to have an alumni network where I connect with Full Sail graduates working in journalism, media production, and social media platform. I want to collaborate with students in media, film, and gaming development to help prototype social media platforms. And I also want to leverage those who are attending these networking events, webinars, and Full Sail Hall of Fame Week to meet influential industry professionals and utilize Full Sail career development programs for mentorship and business coaching. I know it seems very long, but I have really long goals. This is my immediate goals and my 6-year goals. Things that I'm looking to do within the next 6 years, and that is build or offer internship or freelancing opportunities to Full Sail students for content creation, tech development, or marketing. Who knows what the market's going to look like in the next 5 years? Because in the last 20 years, there are words that have been added to the dictionary. At one point when I was growing up, the word surfing meant going out on the beach and grabbing a surfboard and catching some waves. But now surfing has so many different meanings. One, in the tech industry or in the technology industry, it means to go from one page to another on the computer. I want to use my mission statement, which is to create media and publishing companies that foster socially conscious storytelling and ethical journalism while providing an alternative to toxic social media. That's a part of my 6-year goal, is just to continue to keep my my mission statement, the mission, where it's not just a statement, but it's actually who and what we do as a company and as a business. It is my desire to really help navigate through these really difficult waters. And we want to expand community engagement as well by hosting virtual events, webinars, and panel discussions on socially responsible media. We want to grow our audience through partnership and public speaking engagements. And in the next 6 years, I want to make sure that there's subscription, ad-free experience, exclusive networking, and explore investor funding for technology and platform expansion. You know, a couple of things that really helped me through this process was the book Stretch. One of the books that we had to read during the course of this um, class. And one of the things that really intrigued me in the book Stretch is that Al Capone, how he really changed the industry in branding and as far as expiration dates, where he was looking to do some things to get into a more credible audience with the intent of distributing alcohol across the nation. You know, because during that time it was illegal to distribute alcohol, and he began distributing milk. One of the things he realized is that people were not aware of whether the milk was fresh or whether it could cause illness. So what he did he began having expiration dates on the milk. That is um, that is innovative, and that was someone, whether it was in his intent or not, he really pursued mastery because it really changed an entire industry of distribution. So you had more interest in milk that had an expiration date. But what it also did was it helped me through a really funky part of my life where where that whole concept of moving the expiration date is what we do, and people, I'm closer to 60 than I was last year, and people in my generation are finding a really hard time finding our footing because life is changing and life has changed really quickly for us. We've seen things become more rapid in the last 10 years, where this generation who are finding themselves in the job market now for the first time, everything in their life has been rapid. And so what we have to do, we can't push back our expiration date and expect to be, um, how do I say, we can't expect to be compliant business-wise with the current market because there are so many things that have changed. We have to change with the way things are going. I mean, I can't find myself bringing a typewriter in the office because that's what I grew up on. When everyone is using the keyboard and email, I can't just put a letter in an envelope that's time sensitive and expect it to get to the destination in the next 20 minutes if I'm going to put it in the mailbox. I've got to become accustomed to using email. And so since things have become so much more quicker, I've got to adapt. And so one of the things that I learned in the book Stretch is that I have to not just move the expiration date, but I've got to rebrand myself and republish myself and make sure that I am working within the timelines of my lifestyle. There were a few people in the book Mastery by Robert Greene that really intrigued me, and the one was Wolfgang Mozart, how he really changed the music industry. He really changed the music industry by owning himself, connecting to nature. The book says that you have to be as natural. It has to be as natural as a bee making wax. As Wolfgang Mozart, when he was invited to Vienna, he stayed in Vienna even when his time was up in Salzburg, Vienna. When his time was up, and it angered people. It separated himself from his father, and he made himself estranged from those who were around him. And by doing that, he found himself in his pursuit of mastery. That's one thing that's important. We have to be willing to divorce ourselves from folk who want us to remain in their idea of who we should be. And that's one thing that Wolfgang was able to do. And another person that really intrigued my interest was, or another quote, another part of the book that really intrigued my interest was, how do I say it? I had it written down. I'm so sorry. Well, Green, when he was he was saying that emphasize that mastery requires a structured learning phase, often spanning years. During this period, individuals must immerse themselves in their craft, seek mentorship, and embrace the challenges to develop deep expertise. He's saying that we can't be afraid to fail, but we also have to recognize that some of the limitations that we have to remain consistent with our childhood creativity, but recognize that some of the creativity has to be the expectations of experience, and that's what propels us into mastery. In other words, what I'm saying is that recognize that your childhood creativity is unchallenged as a child, but as you grow older, you begin to understand limits and boundaries. I mean, when you were a child, you thought you could jump off of anything and become invincible, because when you were a child, you were afraid of falling. But then after you fell, you realized you could get back up and you didn't die. But then you begin to realize, I can't jump off the side of the house because that could actually kill me. And so when you're a child, maintain your levels of creativity. But as you get older, realize that some of your limitations have barriers. Unless you're going to change lift and propulsion, don't jump off a building. Use your experience to push you toward your mastery process. Also, true mastery is not just about skill, but also about developing an intuitive, almost effortless ability to see patterns, predict outcomes, and innovate within one's field. Mastery breaks free from rigid structure and redefines their industry by combining knowledge, experience, and creativity. It's so important to embrace all of these things on our journey toward mastery. Look, I really enjoyed spending my time with you all. I look forward to seeing you all maybe in other classes. And I thank you again, Professor, for allowing us this opportunity to journey with you on our goal toward mastery. And here's just a little snippet that I want to share with you that has helped me in times, and this is the way, in the direction that I'm planning to go with media. Thank you so much. Enjoy this, and bye-bye.
Pressing to remember what you said. Lord, can you hear me? I'm here, fighting, pressing to remember what you said. But this onslaught of thoughts fills my head with dread, and I need you. Like enemies encamped, shrouded in the dark, I can feel the fascination of too many temptations reaching for my heart. So I need you to hear me. For I know your ears are attentive to the righteous, and I know that your ways are certain. Even when my worries would trample me to dust, still, I know you are good. Your hand is just. Be the salvation for my sins. Help me to begin again, that you would mend this trend of hopelessness. God, deliver me in my brokenness. I can feel your presence, even now in the ugly, in the mess that has been made. You surround me with your benevolence. Yes, your love is on display, and I can see it. Carving roads through the struggles and the troubles, past temptations and devices that seek to choke me out. So come fear, come failure, come opposition or doubt. Jesus, you are my deliverance. Your grace is sufficient. Trusting you is my